The other big story is Harvard University's graduation took place yesterday, and it was filled with jabs and digs at President Trump as court battle play out over the restrictions of foreign students' enrollments, as well as federal funding cuts to the tune of billions of dollars.
So Chanley Painter joins us live from the Harvard campus. You're a lawyer, Chanley. Can you take us through the latest in this legal battle?
Absolutely. Great to be with you. Good morning. This was a hearing in federal court not far from where I am right now on the campus of Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it was happening simultaneously with commencement ceremonies. But inside the federal courthouse, the judge, she simply extended her temporary restraining order over the Trump administration's attempt to ban Harvard from enrolling foreign students. It all happened about last week when DHS Secretary Kristi Noem restricted or revoked the school's right to enroll students, Harvard suing, and then this restraining order or this block was put in place while this all plays out. So it's temporary, a temporary win for the university here. But again, this will be litigated over the months, possibly years. We'll see what the court does, guys.
So, Chanley, no doubt about it. The President of the United States first sparred with Columbia, and then Harvard, with their anti-Semitic displays, were in his crosshairs. So he's cracking down on them, holding back money for their grants until they crack down on it. And then we see them doubling, tripling down along the way. And then he starts looking into who's getting admitted to that school. And yesterday, I imagine there was a time for pushback during the ceremony. Reports are there were not so subtle jabs at the 47th president.
Brian, not so subtle jabs, of course, by the commencement speakers, even by some of the people that I spoke to here on the sidewalk at campus, in and out of the graduation ceremonies taking place, because, of course, Harvard has been in the headlines for weeks and months with this battle between the White House, with the freezing funds, as well as two competing litigation lawsuits between the university and the federal government. Well, inside Harvard Yard, where the commencement service was taking place, the president of the university had some insinuations, to say the least, to say about what was happening in federal court. At the same time, watch this.
Members of the class of 2025 from down the street, across the country, and around the world, just as it should be.
That standing ovation went on for about a minute, guys. You can hear the loud applause. And as I spoke to students and family outside after the service, many of them echoed his sentiments about, pro-Harvard and against a ban of foreign students, saying diversity is what makes this university great in their classmates and what brings strength to the university. It's interesting that Harvard actually reports nearly 7,000 of their students, of the 30,000 or so students here, are foreign students. That's about 27% of the student population here. Again, the Trump administration wanting to vet these for national security reasons more closely. Even Trump mentioning a couple of days ago he would like it to be more like 15% of the student population as opposed to 27, guys.
Okay, Chanley, I heard your report talking with Brian earlier. You said you found one person on the campus that likes Brian, that watches Brian.
What is it? That's your takeaway from the report?
Yes. Okay, but you talked to the students about the anti-Semitism, which is a serious issue on the campus. And you asked them, are they seeing this? What are their reactions? Can we show this and then we'll talk to you on the other side, Chanley?
Sure.
Thanks.
I personally didn't experience it, but that doesn't mean that others didn't. I'm proud of how Harvard has handled itself, and I am a proud graduate of the institution. But there are certain practices, there are certain measures being taken right now that I think are counterproductive.
Can Harvard do more?
I think so. I think they could always do more to make all students feel more comfortable.
All right, Chanley.
Yeah, guys, this was so interesting. Yes. And Brian, I was walking around with my team, working hard with the Fox. I wasn't afraid to have the Fox and Friends logo here at Harvard University. We did have some comments, but it could have been a lot worse. Everyone was really gracious. Celebratory atmosphere here yesterday with graduation going on. I do want to know what those students did say to me, because while They were, of course, proud of their degree, proud of their university where they just graduated from. Many of them, in fact, most of them acknowledged that there is work to be done as far as anti-Semitism goes here on campus and the policies and practices of the university, especially after last year's anti-Israel protest here on campus. That was a common theme. In fact, the first young man that I talked to in that, I asked him, I followed up about, the foreign student ban from the Trump administration as one of those remedial efforts to try to get the university to comply with some of these demands from the administration. And he said to me, which was an interesting point possibly, that the vetting of national security interests of foreign students should be the government in the visa process, not the university's job. So he took kind of that position on. And most of them, while they said they acknowledged some change needs to happen, that they personally did see some of their friends suffer from some of that anti-Semitic actions over the years, guys.
I'm sure that the ones that wanted to go to class.
That's right.
And they get stopped. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Chanley. So I would just add one more thing. The Alan Garber himself on an NPR podcast, the president of the school said we have to do a better job being tolerant, not only of Jews, but of other people's beliefs. And there is a sense among faculty and students that they cannot speak out. They're self-conscious, and while admitting that only about 5% of their campus is conservative.
Did you see the commencement and all the crowd and all that? I was like, who do you people think you are? You think you get to be a liberal conclave, have people, 30% of your, emission there from other countries, and then be a hotbed for Hamas as well, block the Jews, and then you want our money as well? You can continue to do this, but we don't have to fund it.
That's what the fight in the courts is.
I think it is. I understand his point. I went to a college where we have a big international community. We have our business school. When I was there, it was the #1 international business school in the world. So I get that. And it's always interesting to talk to people from other parts of the world, to go and visit other parts of the world. I get that. Donald Trump was just saying, maybe not so many. Allow some of those spots to go to more Americans that are just equally as qualified. But he also said, for those that are on your campus, we want to know anyone who's been in trouble. Anyone who's been in trouble, if they're foreign students and they've been in trouble, we want to look at their records. We need to see their code of conduct because I want to make sure they're not affiliated with Hamas or a terrorist organization. So it's pretty common. This is common sense.
Who could be against that?
I don't know. I wish the president of Harvard would just say, let's sit down and talk. What do you need to make our campus safe? And then if you'll continue to fund us, I'll do what you would like. But it's obvious that
Chinese have no social media footprint. No. They don't allow Facebook.
Right.
They don't allow Twitter. So they'll have nothing. And
the
that's
Chinese
why
are
there's a
known for
massive
sending
ban.
spies, and they're known for sending spies.
Yeah.
Maybe the ban on China is understandable.
Report back.
Yeah.
Right.
But 18% of the foreign students are Chinese at Harvard. Out of the 27%.
18 out of the 27 are?
Yep, 18% are Chinese. 275,000 are here. We need to know in their background. Chinese can't buy farmland near military base, can't buy farmland, period, and they can't buy land near military bases.
Correct.
How hard is it just to ban that nationally?
So true.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.